Hey guys, I have an update on the peeps. I've got the beautiful Miss Sweet Luna, and then I've got Ralph over here. I'm going to give a brief update and then I'll show you your kids. So let's talk first about Luna and some of the things that I've noticed. And let me see if I can fix this this glare here. This will probably freak Luna out, but let me see if I can at least like get rid of that. So Luna has been exhibiting some like, hello, whoever is there. I can't see names, but hi. So Luna has some really strange behaviors at night in the crate. Hey Arthur, how are you? And I really noticed it last night. Why? Because I had a case of insomnia, so I was really watching her most of the night while I was up. And so she does this thing, and she's been doing this thing where she starts licking the crate, or she'll begin licking herself. No, Luna, down. She's freaked out by the blinds. Good. And she also might see something outside that freaks her out. But she licks the crate, she licks herself. And then after a while of licking, she'll start biting at the crate. And then she'll just start like pawing at things. So it's definitely just part of her, like all the stuff going on in her head, her fear, her anxiety, her insecurity, all of these things. It's like along the same spectrum. And so I just basically correct her for it at a low level, or a level that makes her stop. And it was pretty low. I think it was like around 10 or something. 10 out of 100 levels. That's not bad. It's like a tap, knock it off and go to sleep. I mean, it is 2 o'clock in the morning after all. What are you doing up? So this went on a couple times, and then finally she settled down. But I would catch her in the middle of the night just like sitting up, looking around like, I wonder what I'll do now. And then she would start like licking at things. And I know if that was left unchecked, it would probably lead to her trying to break out of the crate. So I don't know if this is like a part of her fear, or if it's a separation thing. I do know that she is bonding with me, and so when I put her up, she's a little more vocal, like, hey, don't leave me down here. But her job, part of her job when she goes home to deal with these fears that she has, is she's going to stay home from now on. She's not going with Dad to the office. That's too much pressure and too much stress on her. It's going to manifest in really big bad ways if it continues. So my advice is for her to do the crate time every day. It is not cruel to crate your dog at her age. She's old enough to be in a crate for 8-9 hours a day. It's not cruel. They are meant to den up and get comfy and cozy in a small space. And also, she's being conditioned and primed for that right now. That is part of her work. And she's, for the most part, does very well. Overnight, it might be, she may give you some shenanigans when you first, bring her home. But you're going to leave that e-collar on. And I highly recommend just get yourself a cheap little baby camera. Put the baby cam on her so you can manage her those first couple nights, and give her a little e-collar communication if she starts any nonsense. But you need her to be calm and conditioned to be in that crate. And believe me, by the time she comes home, this is it's a practice. She's done it at least for 21 days, and it's like a good. We're at the point where we're forming a habit. But it's up to you guys, because of the associations at home, to continue the work and really knuckle down on this girl, because she's super fearful. Yes, she also uses it as a manipulation, like to get out of anything that makes her uncomfortable. And I have been holding her accountable. Last night in the hood, I'll tell you this story. It was not too noisy in the neighborhood, but there was a neighbor who wanted to stop and talk to me, and I just told him, I said, this dog is fearful, just don't engage with her, but I wanted to talk to him. So I put her in a sit. She continued to press the envelope and pop up and try and spin around and sit on me. I corrected her each time. I would not let her sit on me, but I would make her sit. And it unnerved her to the point where she actually went number 2 right on the pavement, because she was like, this is overwhelming. But here's the point, like, she survived and she needed to. This is not much. The neighbor wasn't looking at her. He wasn't in her proximity. He was not in her space. But this is her like default. Like anytime she's uneasy, she's just gonna like do circles and try and retreat and try and pull me over and like get out of somewhere. It's like, knock that off now. We're not going to do that anymore. You are going to sit and I'm going to talk to this neighbor, because that's what people do and that's what dogs do. So I taught her and she handled it. She lived to show that she can do this another day. And each day it's super hard. I mean, the day before we went to the strip mall, and I'll be doing a post on that later. Like, believe me, that was not easy on her. And it's not easy to watch. But she handled it. She went into, we went into the hardware store. We walked in close proximity to people. I didn't let anyone come up and approach her or touch her. But I did make her stay by my side as we walked the entire hardware store. And people talked to me. And I made her do some sits briefly. I didn't want to stay in there too long for fear that she might, have a number 2 in there, because sometimes when she's unnerved, she will do that. So that's how that night went. And then the one other thing is, I was taking her for a walk through the neighborhood, and we came down a path. It was a very tight path. And here's 2 people and a girl with her bicycle. And it really, like, she would have ripped my hand off if she could have, to flee. But I used e-collar pressure. So e-collar communication, anytime she tries to pull you or dictate the pace of a walk, you're going to use e-collar pressure at a level that makes her fall back in line. So for her last night, we were in the 30s. And I've been in the 50s. It just depends on where where her head is. But it's not hurting her. It's just enough for her to feel it, because her head is so out of her mind. She's just out of her mind. So I will show you guys how to do that, but you will be, anytime she shows resistance, e-collar pressure to break the resistance. And that's kind of it for Luna. That's where we are with her training. She did manage to fall back to sleep last night. Lucky her, because I didn't. I got about an hour of sleep last night, which stinks. But anyways, that happens. So now I'm going to move over to my boy Ralph, who's doing, he's doing great. He goes home in a couple days. He's just chilling right now in place. But his recall, if you'll see the post, is just coming along beautifully. Some of the issues that you guys are having, the reactivity, I do want to talk about in the neighborhood. Yes, well, actually, several times in the neighborhood, he gets real vocal and boisterous. And I've had success just by giving him a little leash pop with the prong, tell him to knock it off, and he moves right on. So we'll see how he behaves for you guys, but I think it's just going to be a little simple little pop of the prong collar, or you may need a little stim of the e-collar, because I use both on the walk. But for him, I mean, he's walking very nicely on leash, and I will be taking him to his home today to practice some recall. He's doing fantastic recall at the school and at my house. In the neighborhood, he does it really well, but I want to go back to his environment and see how he does. And that the proof is in the pudding. So we'll see how he does at home. We might bump into his owners, and if we do, that's no problem. He'll get to see them. He'll be disappointed because he's coming home with me. But he's only going to be here a few more days, and then he goes home. But I'm real happy with his progress. I do want to see, there are some behaviors of his that are completely off the table. He has not demonstrated them to me, but he's very disrespectful of the female owner because she's more of a nurturer, and she's got softer energy, and he'll exploit that. So I need to do some work with her, but I also want to see how is he now with all of the tools on and all of the skills that he's learned. Did it bring down his level of entitlement with her or is that something that we need to my feeling is that that Barb, you're going to have to be more firm with him. Excuse me, and we will talk about that. You have to be more of an authority with your dog when they act like that. But it's absolutely off the table for him to disrespect you, climb all over you, mouth you, bark at you, and the baby, things like that. So those are things we'll talk about tomorrow and on Sunday when he goes home. And maybe I'll bump into you guys today. I don't know. And it's perfectly fine if we do. If he sees you, that's great. Because we'll just check that jumping. I want to see how the jumping is. He did meet my dog walker yesterday. And he gave a hearty vocal bark. But they were at a distance, but he kept his feet on the ground. He also met Elisa, my helper, and he's met her before, but he kept his feet on the ground. He has met people at the pet store, and they've petted him, and he's kept his paws on the ground. So I'm encouraged by that. And if it's ever an issue, it's just a little bit of communication with either the prong collar, like, hey, don't even think about it, you give him a little pop, or a little e-collar communication before he jumps. You just say, keep your feet on the ground, and you hit that button, and he'll know exactly what you're talking about. So that's it for the update, guys. I'll just show you these peeps. He's sound asleep. He was actually snoring. It was very cute. And this girl right here, she's, she's doing good. So, all right, guys, have a great Thursday. And Arthur, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.